In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 college football games happening on September 6, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Duke versus Illinois. Illinois and Duke meet in Durham on Saturday afternoon in what sets up as an early season test for both programs. Each team comes into this matchup 1-0, but the paths they took in their openers couldn't have looked more different. Illinois jumped on Western Illinois early and never looked back, rolling to a comfortable win behind a balanced offensive attack that mixed efficient passing with a strong ground game. Duke, meanwhile, was surprisingly challenged by Elon. The Blue Devils were locked in a tie at halftime, only up 7 early in the fourth quarter before finally pulling away late. That uneven performance raises questions about how they'll hold up against a much stronger opponent this week. Illinois is built to challenge Duke in the trenches and with playmakers across both sides of the ball. Quarterback Luke Altmyer leads a balanced attack that can stress defenses in multiple ways, while the Illini's front 7 on defense has shown it can win at the line of scrimmage. That combination could force Duke into long yardage situations, something the Blue Devils struggled with against an football championship subdivision defense. Duke quarterback Riley Leonard has the experience and poise to keep his team competitive, and the Blue Devils do have some bite with their pass rush, but overall the depth and talent gap looks to favor Illinois. History also leans Illinois' way when it comes to covering the number. The Illini are 4-1 against the spread in their last 6 games as a favorite, and this is one of the deeper, more complete rosters they've fielded in recent years. Altmyer's experience and the skill pieces around him give Illinois an edge in execution, while Duke still appears to be searching for consistency. On the road, it won't be easy, but Illinois looks capable of pulling away late in what could start out tight. As our first pick for this matchup, the Illinois Fighting Illini to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When it comes to the total, recent evidence suggests a lower scoring outcome. Both teams lit up the scoreboard in their openers, but those numbers came with context. Illinois dropped 50 points on Western Illinois but still fell short of the posted total, finishing at 55 combined points against a number of 62.5. Duke and Elon combined for 62 points, but that came against a far weaker defense than what they'll see from Illinois. This week, both defenses are facing far more competent offenses, yet each unit has shown the ability to limit scoring opportunities. Illinois' defensive front has been disruptive, while Duke has athletes in the secondary that can take away big plays. The difference between last week and this one is the matchup quality. Both defenses are better than what either offense just faced, which should keep scoring opportunities limited. Expect Illinois to grind out long drives with a balanced approach, while Duke will struggle to consistently finish possessions against a stout Illini front. With both teams leaning on the ground game and possessions likely shortened, this total feels a touch too high. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Iowa versus Iowa State. The stage is set in Ames for one of the most heated rivalries in college football, as the Cyclones host the Hawkeyes in a non-conference showdown at Jack Trice Stadium. It's a series Iowa has long controlled, but Iowa State comes in with a chance to make a little history. A win here would give the Cyclones back-to-back victories in the rivalry for the first time since 2011 and 2012. The intensity and familiarity always make this a defensive slugfest, but there are key differences this season that tilt the edge. For Iowa State, quarterback Rocco Becht has been the biggest difference maker. He's been efficient and aggressive through 2 games, throwing for 461 yards with 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. His confidence has allowed the Cyclones to take shots down the field, something they will need to lean on with a ground game that has mustered just 2.8 yards per carry so far. The Iowa defense, fresh off limiting Albany to just 5.2 yards per catch, is stingy, but the Cyclones present a far more dynamic passing threat. If Becht continues to manage the offense without turnovers, Iowa State has the firepower to seize control. On the other side, the Hawkeyes will look to grind it out on the ground. They piled up more than 300 rushing yards in their season opener while throwing for only 48 yards, a stat line that raised eyebrows given the talk of a more balanced offense entering the year. It's clear that running the ball remains their identity, and against a Cyclones defense that has held both of its first two opponents under 20 points, Iowa will have to fight for every yard. Iowa State's defensive front has shown the ability to plug running lanes and force opponents into third and long situations, which plays into their hands. This rivalry is always tight, but the Cyclones enter with momentum and the better offensive balance. Becht's passing has opened up the offense in ways Iowa State hasn't had in recent years, and after last season's 20-19 road win over the Hawkeyes, they'll have confidence they can not only repeat the feat but win with a little more margin. The Cyclones are also 2-0 against the spread this season and went 3-1 against the spread in non-conference play last year, another indicator that they rise to these kinds of occasions. With Iowa lacking the same margin for error, Iowa State is in the driver's seat. As our first pick for this matchup, the Iowa State Cyclones to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. When it comes to the total, history and matchup trends point clearly to the under. These teams have combined for fewer than 40 points in each of the last 3 meetings, 2 of which were Cyclone victories. Iowa knows its only realistic path to a win is controlling the clock with the run game, which naturally shortens the contest and limits possessions. Their passing game has been ineffective, averaging just 3 yards per catch against Albany, and it's unlikely they'll find much more success against a stronger Iowa State secondary. Meanwhile, Iowa State's defense has been excellent, keeping both of their first 2 opponents under 20 points. In rivalry games like this, where both coaching staffs know the other's tendencies inside and out, explosive plays are rare, and execution in the red zone determines the outcome. With both teams comfortable leaning on their defenses and history showing a steady pattern of low totals, this matchup shapes up as another grind. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Baylor versus SMU, one of the most intriguing matchups on the Week 2 college football slate, takes place in Texas as the Baylor Bears travel to Dallas to face the SMU Mustangs in a high-stakes non-conference showdown. Baylor came into the season with Big 12 title aspirations and even dark horse college football playoff chatter, but those hopes were dealt an early blow in a 38-24 loss to Auburn. The defeat wasn't disastrous, but it did expose some defensive concerns, particularly against Auburn's creative ground game. That means the Bears enter this matchup in a spot where they desperately need to rebound with a quality win to restore confidence and keep their margin for error intact. SMU, on the other hand, took care of business in its opener against East Texas A&M, but the performance left plenty to be desired. The Mustangs won comfortably on the scoreboard but were sloppy throughout, finishing with 3 turnovers and poor execution on third downs. Their rushing attack failed to provide much explosiveness against an football championship subdivision opponent, managing just 4.5 yards per carry. That's not an encouraging sign heading into a matchup with a Baylor defense that, despite its struggles last week, is much more physical than what the Mustangs just faced. Quarterback Kevin Jennings has mobility, but he's unlikely to stress the Bears' defense the way Auburn's Jackson Arnold did in Week 1. Even more concerning for SMU was their defense. The Mustangs allowed over 350 yards and nearly 5 yards per play to East Texas A&M despite benefiting from 3 forced turnovers. They also lost the time of possession battle badly, which is partly due to their lightning-fast tempo, but also speaks to their inability to get consistent stops. Against a Baylor offense led by Sawyer Robertson, that's a dangerous recipe. Robertson threw for 419 yards in the loss to Auburn, showing poise and command against an Southeastern Conference defense. Facing SMU's shaky defense will feel like a significant step down in competition, and Baylor has the offensive pieces to take advantage. With Baylor already tested against a high-level opponent and SMU still looking for answers on both sides of the ball, this game sets up as an opportunity for the Bears to bounce back. Their offense should find plenty of success through the air, while their defense matches up better against SMU's predictable rushing attack. As our first pick for this matchup, the Baylor Bears to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. As for the total, expect points in bunches. SMU scored 42 in its opener, and their up-tempo system ensures plenty of possessions. Even if their ground game lacks explosiveness, their passing game can still move the chains and push the tempo. Baylor's Robertson is coming off a monster debut and looks primed to shred a vulnerable Mustangs defense that just gave up chunks of yardage to an inferior opponent. Both coaching staffs lean toward fast-paced, aggressive offensive philosophies, and neither side appears equipped defensively to slow the other down consistently. This has all the makings of a back-and-forth shootout where momentum swings quickly and touchdowns come early and often. Fans of high-scoring football will get their fill here as these teams trade punches throughout 4 quarters. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Virginia versus NC State. Virginia and NC State clash in Raleigh on Saturday afternoon in a matchup that is technically non-conference despite both schools playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference. That scheduling quirk adds a bit of spice, but the bigger story is how these two teams match up stylistically. Historically, NC State has owned this series, but momentum and matchups suggest the Cavaliers have a strong chance to flip the script here. Virginia quarterback Chandler Morris comes in off an excellent opener, where he showed full command of the offense and developed instant chemistry with wideout Cam Ross, who finished with 124 yards and a touchdown. This duo gets an ideal matchup against an NC State secondary that looked lost in Week 1, giving up 383 passing yards to East Carolina without forcing a single turnover. That kind of production came against a Pirates team with far less talent at the skill positions than Virginia brings to the table, and if the Wolfpack haven't cleaned things up, Morris could carve them apart. The Wolfpack's issues aren't limited to the back end. They ranked 101st nationally in rushing success rate after Week 1, failing to establish much consistency on the ground. That puts pressure on quarterback C.J. Baylor to shoulder the offense, but Virginia's defense is built to slow down one-dimensional attacks. The Cavaliers are disciplined in their zone coverages and rely on athletic linebackers to take away easy checkdowns and scramble lanes, which could frustrate Baylor throughout the afternoon. Market movement has also been telling. Despite roughly 70% of public bets leaning toward NC State, the spread has actually moved in Virginia's direction, from plus 4.5 down to plus 2.5. That type of reverse line movement often signals sharp money backing the underdog, and it makes sense here given how well Virginia matches up. With a dangerous passing attack, improved defense, and motivation to snap NC State's dominance in the series, the Cavaliers look like the sharper side. As our first pick for this matchup, the Virginia Cavaliers to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. When it comes to the total, the game sets up for a lower scoring affair than the market might expect. Virginia's defensive approach is zone-heavy, designed to prevent explosive plays and force long, methodical drives. That meshes with NC State's offensive limitations. If the Wolfpack can't run effectively, they'll struggle to string together consistent drives through the air. On the flip side, while Morris and Ross provide a spark for Virginia, NC State's defensive front is stout enough to limit Morris's mobility and collapse pockets, keeping him from freely extending plays. The first week of action backs this up. NC State managed only 24 points despite facing a middling defense, while Virginia surrendered just 7 in their opener. That kind of output underscores the likelihood of a grinded-out contest defined by red zone battles and field position rather than track meet scoring. With both teams equipped to slow each other down, the total of 54.5 feels too ambitious. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Oklahoma State versus Oregon. Oklahoma State travels west to Eugene for a daunting Week 2 clash against the Oregon Ducks at Autzen Stadium. The Ducks are fresh off a 59-13 thrashing of Montana State, a scoreline that might be dismissed by some as an football championship subdivision mismatch. But context matters. Montana State is no ordinary football championship subdivision team. The Bobcats went 15-1 last year, their only defeat coming in the national championship against North Dakota State, a perennial powerhouse. For Oregon to dismantle them the way they did is a clear statement about the balance and depth of this Ducks roster. Oklahoma State, meanwhile, opened with a comfortable win over UT Martin, but the level of opposition leaves plenty of questions unanswered. The Skyhawks were routed by the Cowboys 49-17 just last year, and the gap in competition doesn't provide a realistic benchmark for how OSU will fare against a top 10 caliber team like Oregon. The Cowboys also face major personnel issues. They are breaking in 2 freshman quarterbacks who looked shaky in the opener, and they'll be without star running back Ollie Gordon, who carried much of their offense the past 2 seasons. Without Gordon's production and leadership, Oklahoma State suddenly looks like a team searching for an offensive identity at the worst possible time. The environment only makes things tougher. Autzen Stadium is one of the most hostile settings in college football, and Oregon has been lethal at home under Dan Lanning. The Ducks combine an explosive offense with a defense capable of dictating tempo, and the talent disparity here is glaring. glaring. For Oklahoma State to stay competitive, they'd need near-flawless execution and turnovers in their favor, but all signs point toward this becoming a lopsided affair. As our first pick for this matchup, the Oregon Ducks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Turning to the total, Oregon's offensive firepower makes it tempting to lean over by default. They can hang 50-plus points on almost anyone, and that threat looms again here. But the question is whether Oklahoma State can do enough offensively to contribute to a shootout. Given the Cowboys' quarterback uncertainty and the loss of Gordon, it's difficult to see them sustaining drives against Oregon's defensive front. They may struggle just to reach double digits, and Mike Gundy's best path to keeping things respectable is to slow the game down, limit possessions, and try to bleed clock. If Oregon builds a big early lead, they're also likely to rotate heavily in the second half, dialing back the aggression. That combination points toward a game script where Oregon does the heavy lifting on the scoreboard while Oklahoma State adds little. The Ducks can still put up their usual big number, but with the Cowboys unlikely to contribute, the under looks like the sharper side. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.